KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan is in the newsroom now with much more on what the president said. And Dave, did he ever have a lot to say today?
Juan, it was one of a kind, I got to tell you. President Trump was battling with the truth today when he held a spontaneous interview event on the White House lawn. It was Trump at his most combative, declaring that the report on Clinton emails, for example, exonerated him while allowing Clinton to skate free when she should have been locked up. And that was just the opening salvo. President Trump made a rare appearance on the White House North Lawn, where the presidential press usually hangs out.
Listen, I'm doing an interview over here.
And the president had plenty to say, telling reporters that the Justice Department Inspector General's report this week on Hillary Clinton's email server issues absolves him from having done anything wrong in the Russia investigation.
I think that the report yesterday, maybe more importantly than anything, it totally exonerates me. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. And if you read the report, you'll see that.
But the truth is, the report did not address anything about possible collusion or obstruction by anyone with regard to the Russia investigation. New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman told CNN's Wolf Blitzer the only one who was exonerated in the report was Hillary Clinton, not President Trump.
He then made all these claims about the report that just are not true, that the report, exonerated him in terms of allegations of collusion with Russian officials by his campaign. The report doesn't do any of that. There were a torrent of inaccuracies and falsehoods.
The president was asked, since he says he was exonerated, if he would be putting an end to the Russia investigation.
Are you thinking of
No, but I think that whole investigation now is look, the problem with the Mueller investigation is everybody's got massive conflicts.
But President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, told Fox News the criticism of former FBI Director James Comey in the IG's report means the Russia investigation should take a whole new direction.
Let's investigate the investigators. Let's take a halt to the Mueller investigation.
Later, Giuliani told CNN the special counsel investigators in the Russia case were deeply biased.
The people conducting the collusion investigation were people who had a severe bias against him.
The president covered a lot of ground in his 49-minute scrum with the White House press, but he got his facts wrong 19 times, according to NBC News, either lying or misstating facts, they said. Mr. Trump was fired up to talk about his foreign policy coup at the Singapore summit, telling Fox News about his brand new relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
He's the head of a country, and I mean, he's the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different.
Right.
He speaks and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
What did you mean just now when you said you wished Americans would sit up at attention when you spoke?
I'm kidding. You don't understand sarcasm.
The president was also pressed about his previous statements that the North Korean dictator loves his people.
How can Kim love his people if he's killing them?
I can't speak to that. I can only speak to the fact that we signed an incredible agreement. It's great.
And President Trump sent shockwaves through Capitol Hill, saying he would not support the compromise bill on immigration.
I certainly wouldn't sign the more moderate.
What does the bill have to have?
I need a bill that gives this country tremendous border security. I have to have that.
Only later did a White House source say the president misunderstood the question. And Mr. Trump also inaccurately blamed the Democrats for the new Justice Department policy that separates families at the border, a decision the Democrats had nothing to do with.
That's the law, and that's what the Democrats gave us, and we're willing to change it today if they want to get in and negotiate, but they just don't want to negotiate. They're afraid of security for our country.
Republican political strategist Reed Galen, who worked in the President George W. Bush administration, told me tonight in a Skype interview that all presidents occasionally make mistakes like that.
Well, I'm sure that you could go back through the first 44 presidents and find plenty of opportunity to see where someone might have said something that was less than forthright. This is a whole different ballgame, though. We're seeing something where the president literally says whatever it is he feels like is on his mind, regardless of its veracity or its even any relation to the truth.
Now, President Trump also announced that his administration is working on putting together a possible summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump today blamed Barack Obama for allowing the Russia invasion and annexation of Crimea in 2014, which was engineered entirely by Putin. But in a speech today, Trump's defense secretary, James Mattis, told the Naval War College Putin seeks to shatter NATO, undermine America's moral authority, and diminish the appeal of the Western democratic model. Juan, that's a lot to talk about here.
What a way to wrap up the week.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, thanks.